All right, let's dive into one of history's most bizarre and frankly chilling stories. We're talking about the moment Nazi ideology collided head-on with the mystical peaks of the Himalayas. Yeah, you heard that right.
I know, it sounds like something straight out of an adventure movie, right? But this is a very real and very dark chapter of actual history. So let's try and untangle this web of pseudoscience, racial obsession, and a desperate search for a mythical past.
You know, on the face of it, these two things couldn't be more different. You've got this totalitarian political machine obsessed with racial purity on one side, and on the other, ancient, profound spiritual traditions. So how in the world did they get so dangerously tangled up? Well, the answer starts with a very specific and, let me tell you, a very powerful organization.
So to really get why they went to the Himalayas, we first have to look at who sent them. And this wasn't just some rogue group of adventurers, oh no, this was an official branch of the SS.
We're talking about something called the Ahnenerbe. That translates to the Ancestral Inheritance Society. And get this, it was founded by none other than Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS himself. Its whole purpose? To slap a shiny coat of academic and historical legitimacy on Nazi racial theories. It was, when you boil it down, an engine designed to weaponize the past.
And what's really striking is just how upfront their goals were. I mean, this was never just about digging up old pots. It was all about manufacturing a brand new history for a pure Reich. A history they believed didn't start in Europe, but somewhere way out in the vastness of Asia. And that's the belief that ultimately pointed their compass straight towards Tibet. So this ideological quest, it led to one of the most audacious expeditions of the entire era. We're talking about a journey deep into a kingdom that was, back then, almost completely sealed off from the rest of the world. So picture this, it's 1938. Europe is just teetering on the brink of all-out war, and this five-man team sets out. You've got a zoologist, an anthropologist, a geophysicist, a botanist, and a technical guy. But here's the kicker. Every single one of them was an officer in the SS.
Now, officially, their mission was purely scientific. You know, we're here to study the anthropology, the animals, the geography of Tibet. But their secret mission, the real mission, funded by Himmler, was to find proof of a lost Aryan civilization, the supposed ancestors of the German people.
And to do this, they started collecting just a massive amount of data. Take this number, 376. That's how many Tibetan people had their physical measurements meticulously taken by the team's anthropologist. They were measuring skulls, facial features, anything they could, all on a search for traits that would somehow fit their twisted racial theories.
They also documented absolutely everything visually. I mean, the team took over 20,000 black and white photos. They were capturing everything, the people, the incredible landscapes, the cultural artifacts, but all of it was seen through this completely distorted ideological lens.
Oh, and they filmed a lot. They shot a staggering 18,000 meters of film. To put that in perspective, that is over 11 miles of film. It was more than 50 hours of footage. And this stuff would later get chopped up and edited into a Nazi-approved documentary called Secret Tibet to sell their findings back home to the German public.
So, what was the real motive here? The truth is, it was probably a mix of things. Historians still debate it. Was the main goal political? To maybe forge an alliance against the British in India? Or was it military? Or was it, just like the Ahnenerbe's mission statement said, purely about race? The science they did was real, sure, but it was all in service of a deeply, deeply unscientific and racist ideology.
Okay, and this is where the story takes an even stranger, almost unbelievable turn. It veers off into the world of esoteric philosophy, where Adolf Hitler gets recast as not just a political leader, but as a divine figure straight out of Hindu cosmology.
Yeah, this absolutely shocking idea comes from the writings of a woman named Savitri Devi. She was a French-Greek writer who somehow became a huge supporter of both Hinduism and National Socialism. In her mind, they were perfectly compatible, and she just merged the Führer with gods from the Hindu pantheon.
So her philosophy, which is now actually known as esoteric Hitlerism, kind of breaks down into three main steps. First, she believed the world was in what's called the Kali Yuga. That's a Hindu concept for a dark age of total chaos and decline. Second, she thought Hitler was a man against time, basically an avatar sent to fight all this decay. And third, when he was defeated, she argued that it just proved he wasn't the final savior, but just the forerunner to the real one who would come and finish his work and usher in a new golden age.
It's this really twisted logic that gave his followers a way to rationalize his defeat and keep the whole belief system going.
Now, these ideas might just seem bizarre, like some fringe fantasy, but their consequences were horrifyingly real. The men who went to Tibet didn't just come back with a bunch of photos and skull measurements. They brought that ideology back with them to a continent already engulfed in war, and the results were absolutely devastating.
Let's just look at the fates of two key members of this expedition. First up, you have Ernst Schaefer, the leader. After the war, he basically claimed he was just a scientist who got, quote, in a spider's web. And you know what? He was denazified, paid a small fine, and then went on to have a long, successful scientific career. He even became a scientific advisor to the former king of Belgium. Unbelievable. Now just compare Schaefer's fate to this guy, Bruno Beger. He was the anthropologist, the one who was measuring skulls in Tibet. When he got back, he used those exact same skills at Auschwitz to select 115 people. 86 of them were murdered, gassed, so that their bodies could be used to create a Jewish skeleton collection for so-called racial studies. It's just monstrous.
So for his part in 86 murders, Bruno Beger was finally put on trial in 1970. He was found guilty, but he was sentenced to only 3 years in prison, the absolute minimum sentence. He served his time, and he died a free man in 2009.
You know, the political philosopher Hannah Arendt wrote that what people in these situations wanted was access to history, even if it meant their own destruction. And the Ahnenerbe's mission to Tibet was exactly that. It was an attempt to grab history by the throat and bend it to their will, to create a myth so powerful it could justify any atrocity, even their own downfall.
The story of the Nazi Tibet expedition is just such a stark, chilling reminder of how easily our human search for meaning and for heritage can be twisted into something monstrous. And it really forces us to ask a tough question: how do these same patterns, these weaponized myths and this junk science, how do they continue to echo and shape our world right now, today?